My bad.
It's all good.
That was a total accident. Hey, guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin. Shout out to DK. My bad, dude. I actually have to check that I'm on the right mic because I accidentally started the show before we were prepared to do so. All right, I am. Cool. Anyway, we are here on a Tuesday night talking about the Baltimore Ravens. Glenn, look, you broke the news to me. I'm super excited to talk about the Ravens free agency splash, if you will. The free agency at large in the NFL, everything Ravens related, because there's a ton going on. This is an exciting part of the year. I also want to talk about some points that you guys talked about in the last draft show. Of course, I wasn't able to make it. Shout out to Glenn for holding it down. And, of course, for doing his thing. Grace gave some great insight, I thought, Glenn. And so, anyway, if you haven't checked that out, that was our first, kind of turning the page into the draft. So go check that out. But before we talk about all those things, we'll have a jam-packed show tonight. We got to, of course, keep our lights on. Shout out our sponsor, and that is BetOnline. Glenn, I always know there's tons of stuff. These, look, the NFL or the NBA is heating up, NHL and otherwise. But what's going on with BetOnline, dude?
Yeah, well, one thing that's always going to be going on over at BetOnline is they're going to continue to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all of the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selections of odds on everything from college basketball to $200,000 bracket contest. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. And Jimbo, I know there were some Ravens fans that were they were growing concerned. They were saying, I don't think the Ravens are keeping pace. I don't think they're doing enough. When you looked at some of the other AFC teams that were, particularly the Steelers in the AFC North and the moves that they have made, the Ravens made some important moves, but they hadn't made any splash moves. But that changed about an hour ago when we got news that the Ravens have signed five-time Pro Bowler wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, most recently of the Kansas City Chiefs, but before that was spent a brief time with the Tennessee Titans. And brief time. It was with the Tennessee Titans before that, before being traded in the 7th week of the NFL season, finished the last 10 games with Kansas City, and, of course, in their playoff run. Ravens get DeAndre for 1 year, $6 million is the contract. So not a long-term deal, but a short-term deal for a guy that I think was exceptionally needed. He is the new number 3 receiver in Baltimore. And Jimbo, as much as I like Nelson Aguilar, I thought he was a good player here. I think this is an upgrade at the wide receiver 3 position.
100%. I mean, at the end of the day, this guy still put up over 600 yards last year. 5 touchdowns. And not only, I don't just see him as a number 3 here, Glenn. The reason I think he's so important is the versatility that he brings. Look, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what, when we started this show in 2019, it wasn't even 2020s yet. I remember our first serious conversation about the show. We were playing basketball and leaving the building. I remember this clear as day. After playing ball, Glenn said, the Ravens need a big body receiver that can high point the ball. He's been saying that since Lord knows when. And Glenn, the cows came home today because finally the Ravens have a player that can high point it, that can win in situations where he's not necessarily open. DK is doing one of these. DK, he can high point the ball better than anyone we've had in how long? I mean, look, this is the closest thing we've had to in that ability to high point it and catch it in scenarios where you're not necessarily open. The closest thing we've had to look, and there go my balloons. The closest thing we've had to Anquan Bolton. I'm not saying he's Anquan at this point in his career, right? Like, that's not my point.
Right.
But my point is that there's versatility in this room because Zay can get you one, a couple ways, right? But Zay's probably not gonna beat you the same way that DeAndre is gonna beat you. Bateman, the same thing. But now DeAndre Hopkins, just like you said, he's not our number one receiver as far as the burden that he's gonna carry. But dude, the way that we can use him is exciting. So that's what I'm excited about. The dude just wants to win. Of course, he wants to go back to the Super Bowl. I know he's wanted to play with Lamar for a long time. So let's go, dude. Let's go.
Why not? I mean, the first thing that I saw, and it's classic Ravens move, right, is the affordability of the contract. I mean, this is you saw some other splashes, and we're going to get into those here shortly. But 1 year, $6 million is an absolute bargain. And look, the Ravens aren't expecting DeAndre Hopkins to be the guy he was 5-6 years ago. They're expecting him to come in and be big in situations, be important, to be a chain mover, to be a red zone threat, to be a guy who can complement what we have on the team, he's not going to be the team. He's going to complement the members of the team. I think he's going to be used sparingly in a way to where they're not going to wear him down. They're not going to, overuse him in the first half of the season, making him useless for the playoffs. No, I think they're going to make sure they use his reps properly. So affordability is, of course, number one when you look at this in comparison with some of the other ones. But I think you have veteran leadership that can't be just ignored. I know we talk about it every year, but I think it's important. And Zay's still a young guy. Rashad's still a young guy. They had Nelson. Well, Nelson's probably gone, and now they got DeAndre to be that next guy in, that veteran leader on the team to help the young guys. And it's not just those guys at the top. Tez Walker's still a young guy who I think the Ravens have big plans for, and I think he'll be important for him. I think it's pretty cool that we've heard both Lamar Jackson and DeAndre Hopkins talk about each other in the past. Now, they've asked, it's not like they just brought it up, but they talk pretty glowingly about each other, and it's pretty cool now that these two are on the same team. I think that's important. I think that matters. Like if you're excited to play with a guy, you tend to like play a little harder or play with a little bit more passion than if you're just playing with a guy because you're getting a paycheck and you're kind of stuck with them. So I do think it matters that they like Lamar and want to play for Lamar. It might make that little difference when he's on scramble drill. Are they scrambling to run for their quarterback and get open for him? It might be the difference. So yeah, excited about. Look, he's still better than anyone on our team. I believe last season when it comes to contested catch rate at 57%, which was a couple ticks higher than the guys on our team. So he's still a guy I think that can be counted on to make, like you said, Jimbo, those tough third down catches where he's probably going to take a pop along with it, but he just does it anyway. I think this is an excellent bargain signing, classic Ravens move.
100%, man. I love that. Book it today. This deal, I want to say this properly because I know sometimes I get outlandish, and I know I haven't been on the show for a while, so I'm overly excited.
Here you go.
But this deal will do more for our franchise than DK Metcalf's deal will do for the Steelers.
Whoa. Okay.
Yep.
That's a big statement. First of all,
it will.
This is a 1-year deal.
I feel
and
very
DK's is much longer.
Good for, well, part of that is surrounding cast.
Okay.
But I think DeAndre in this year will have bigger moments later in the postseason than DK will have for the entirety of his contract with the Steelers.
Damn. So you're banking on them not being able to find a quarterback because we're gonna.
That's a big part of it. I also
Yeah.
think that DK Metcalf is an ounce overrated. An ounce, not very overrated. I think he's an ounce overrated.
You shouldn't go too high,
Now I'm not going to get. Look, we're on air. We were off air. I might be saying some other things, but we're on air, so I'll reserve those statements for off air because Glenn might not want to be my co-host anymore if I say everything I think. But yeah, no, I think this is going to be a huge deal for the Baltimore Ravens, man. Absolutely big. I think of situations where we're going to have to, and I don't want to belabor this too much, but this is obviously big news. I think of situations where Lamar is rolling out, where there's ad-lib, scenarios, and Lamar being able to throw the ball to a relative spot and just saying, here, DeAndre, get the ball. Now, I'm not asking DeAndre to turn back the clock. These are relatively, dispersed moments in the game. I'm not asking for 20 of them, right? Maybe like 1 or 2 of these moments in the game that end up being huge. But the other piece that we saw last year, 3rd and 7, first down, they want 7 yards. The Chiefs, when they were struggling to run, they were still going to DeAndre Hopkins. They were still getting him the ball. And so it's not like he's aged so much that he can only do this 50-50 thing. Throw it to him on a slant. He can be covered like 2 June bugs on a summer night, and he's going to catch the ball.
That's right.
Right?
Yep, that's what he does. He doesn't rely on speed, so it doesn't really matter that he's probably lost a step because it was never a big part of his game anyway. Yeah, so I like it. I think it was a great signing. Hopefully he can stay healthy. I do see obvious concerns for a guy who I think is going to be 33 when they're actually playing. That certainly there's concerns, which is why you got to limit his reps. You only, this isn't a guy who's earning his stripes and has to put in a ton of extra work and all that. No, this guy's done it all. Make sure you keep him healthy for the rest of the season. That's going to be most important. And the Ravens do a good job of that. Look what they did for OBJ for his year here. I mean, the guy hardly ever practiced. They did everything they could to make sure he was active on game day. And I don't think DeAndre is nearly the situation that we dealt with Odell with his fragility at this point in his career. He's pretty much done. So good signing. Look, that's not all the Ravens did. I think if we had one move or maybe one of a couple moves that we would have hoped the Ravens would do, I think they knocked off the top one, and that's re-signing Pro Bowl left tackle Ronnie Stanley. They get him for a 3-year deal. $60 million is the total value of the contract, with $44 million being fully guaranteed. However, they did add on the back end 3 void years, which is something that the Ravens didn't always use. It's not something that they use very often, but what that allowed them to do is to make the cap hit just over $5 million per year because of those 3 void years that they added to the end of the deal. So not only did they get Ronnie Stanley back for at least the next 2 years, I would say, because really only 2 of which are guaranteed, but at least the next 2 years, and you get him back for a reasonable cap hit at just over $5 million per year because of those void years. We saw the Eagles take total advantage of void years and just spend an absolute monster amount of money. And what did it lead to? It led to a Super Bowl. So getting Ronnie Stanley back, protecting your blind side of your franchise quarterback on the heels of Myles Garrett signing just a ridiculous contract, I think makes a whole lot of sense. There's still a ton of great pass rushers around the AFC. So what'd you think of the Ronnie deal, Jimbo? Were you excited to see that?
Yeah, man, super excited and glad that my initial thoughts were right, and that I'm glad that they wanted to get the deal done. I'm glad that Ronnie is continuing to be a Baltimore Raven for him, for the story of the Ravens, and then also for how players view the Ravens outside of the outside of the castle, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for Ronnie to be back because Glenn, you and Jason kind of talked about it. We want to do our best to go into the draft and be, best player available mode, right?
Good point, yeah.
And so, this does a lot for that, especially in this draft, Glenn. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize, I'm not, Jason doesn't seem too sold on any of these guys for the most part. The guys that he seems sold on, at least, I think it was 1 or 2 guys, had some pretty bad injuries. I think one of them, and I'm forgetting his name. So, we needed that this year. DK also said he could have gotten $25 million a year and instead took $20 a year to stay in Baltimore. So shout out to Stanley for that one. If that $25 million a year was from Massachusetts, I wonder how much state tax would have impacted that. I know state tax aren't low here, but certainly it's higher in Massachusetts, I believe. Anyway. I don't even know if guys think about that. Certainly, I'm a stickler, so I think about that stuff.
Yeah, I would think that comes up in the negotiations for sure. Yeah,
no, most definitely.
But here's the thing. I mean, they bring Stanley back, but which was great, but they weren't done after that, right? They continued to bring back, I think, fan favorites here in Baltimore, and they bring back Pancake Pat Ricard after some were going, well, what's the market for Pat Ricard? Like, can't they kind of lowball this guy because there's not a ton of teams that even use, his talents and what he's good at? And I don't know if I could say it's a lowball, but it's certainly, I think it's a bit of a bargain for the Ravens when you consider all that they get out of Pat Ricard, because let's not forget, he's not just a fullback here. He's a tight end. He's a guy who gets positioned all around the field, and he's really another guard on the field. He's kind of a jack of all trades there. But let's see. He gets I have it right here. It's a deal. Yeah, sorry, my bad. So it's a 2.9 let's see. The deal will be in the $2.9 million range with a $1.44 million cap hit this year. Beautiful. I mean, that's crazy. Think about the dollars per snap on that guy. Plays a lot, bro.
Yeah.
Plays a lot. And we don't have Kohler.
Do you think he gets paid more? Do you think he gets paid more by the end of the year than brain cells he loses by the end of the year?
Oh man. Look, that
Saying
dude's
his
so
job.
strong. I don't think he does. I don't think he loses brain cells. I think he gains them.
Gains brain cells.
It's like rings in Sonic. He hits the defender and the rings pop out and he absorbs them. So he's gaining brain cells, robbing them from the defenders.
That's fair. You know what? That's honestly probably fair because he is generally the aggressor in these scenarios. But there are moments where he's got to meet some linebackers in the hole that are running with a full head of steam, dude.
Oh yeah. And hey, look, he's had to chip in and help out on D linemen plenty. So, yeah. He's 310 pounds of polar bear muscle. Sure. So he's doing just fine.
I love that move though. Love that move for the Ravens, dude. Talk about value on value on value, bro. And these guys aren't bargain. These aren't clearance rack contributors.
Right.
Ronnie's starting left tackle in this league. I think he's probably a top 10 left tackle, certainly top half of the league left tackle. And then, you add Patrick Ricard, I think far and above is the best fullback. I know a lot of people would, I hate when national television was like, Kyle Juszczyk is clearly the best fullback. Well, is he even a fullback?
He's more of an H-back, in my opinion.
Yeah, can he do anything Patrick Ricard can? Not anything, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, they're just such opposite. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like,
by the way,
compare them?
Juszczyk
got released.
Cut by the Niners.
Yeah, so very real valuable there.
Yeah.
That dude should retire, man. He stole enough money from this league, bro.
Ooh, Juszczyk?
Yeah,
dude. He's a hell of a player for them, man. He was
good player, but for a fullback, homeboy got a lot of money.
He did get paid. And look, his wife, I remember she's turned it into a business. She's like makes like custom jersey hoodies or something for the women of the NFL, which is turned into a big business. But look, Kyle Juszczyk, he's got a pair of hands on him, bro. For a fullback,
for sure. But at the end of the day,
best hands on our team when he was on our team, honestly.
For sure. But my point is that like for an undersized fullback, he made a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah, he wouldn't fit a lot of schemes, but
you know what I'm saying? He's made plenty of money for himself. I say, shoot, I'm hitting the beach, bro.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Man. Yeah, he's doing just fine. He made a lot of money. No sense banging heads with linebackers anymore. But let's get into and we'll continue to talk about how all these signings kind of affect the Ravens and the arms race that's going on right now in the NFL. Let me see here. Oh yeah, that's true. Actually. Let me mention that because actually, you know what? I think they'll be in here, DK. I think they'll be in here, and we'll kind of go over them as we go. Because the Ravens did lose some guys. Did it pop up? Why is it not up? Remove.
Sorry, I'm just laughing because sorry guys that I've been disconnected for a bit, so I'm still catching up on some of these deals. But
as you can see here, our boy, Gus Edwards has been released, so he is a free agent, but.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll land on his feet. But look, Geno Smith changes homes. He goes from Seattle to Las Vegas for a third-round draft pick, as Tom Brady was apparently integral in that whole deal and signed off on Geno Smith. Look, Geno turned his career around, but I've never been a Geno. Geno to me was made by Tavon Austin at West Virginia and Stedman Bailey. He would do shovel passes 2 feet in front of him. And then Tavon Austin would take it for 70. And when you look at stats, it would say that Geno had a 70-yard touchdown pass. And it's like, well, come on. You're talking about the greatest high school player in history. Just made him look really good.
And apparently a great neighbor. My old boss, I was hanging out at his house, and his neighbor in Frisco, Texas is your boy Tavon Austin. Apparently a great neighbor.
Well, I'm sure he is. Hell of a play.
Yeah, man. But you're right. I agree with that 100%. We'll see what happens there. Some others have, hey, look, and I also want to say I wouldn't be mad if Gus ends up back here as a nice little signing, insurance? 1 year.
Why not?
Yeah, insurance policy. But the other ones I want to talk about here, let's see. Gesicki is going to stay with the Bengals.
Monster deal.
What'd you say?
Pretty good money, 3 years.
Good money. I think he was on a 1 year deal before that, wasn't he?
Yeah. But Burrow mentioned him by name, wanted him back.
Yeah, and Mark stays with the Chiefs, gets a $6.8 million extension for another year.
Yep.
I don't know what's going to come of that. Ertz, of course, staying with the Commanders. I think that was a great move for Jalen.
Commanders made some moves, man. Whoo! We're going to talk about them.
Yeah, no, most definitely. But I want to get to these Ravens ones if that's cool, Glenn.
Yeah, let's get to them here. Where are they?
You can also hit Control F and just search for them if you want.
What?
Just hit Command F.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Morgan Cox. Control F. All right.
Yeah, Command F, I guess, on the Mac. But Command
Command
F, and then just type a search bar should pop up. You see that?
Yeah. And what do I type?
Anything you want, like if you want to type in McCary and then hit enter, there you go.
There he is. All right. McCary signs a 3. Look at you, Jim. My tech guy. You guys see Jimmy's my tech guy. You see it live.
You're in trouble if I'm your tech guy.
Nah, dude, I'm doing just fine. Patrick McCary, 3 years, $37.5 million in Jacksonville, leaves here. We will not see the jack of all trades. The tackle guard center that is Patrick McCary is taking his talents to Jacksonville. And yeah, so
good for him. Homeboy loves to play football, and he made himself into something and got the bag. I mean, we got him on a bargain in comparison to this because wasn't his deal with us a $3 million deal previous to this deal? I mean, excuse me, a 3-year deal.
Yeah, and I think it was substantially less than this.
Yeah, I think it was like 16 or 18.
Yeah, exactly. It was a much more reasonable deal. But look, Patrick McCary is an important player. There's no doubt about it. Anybody can be that versatile. But I'm happy that at least this forces the hand, because what I did not want to see next year, Jimbo, is Pat McCary starting at left guard for me. I didn't want to see that. And so this at least guarantees that that's not going to be happening. And hopefully that means it's an upgrade. I don't want it to be a downgrade, of course, but I think that Voorhees is obviously the leader in the clubhouse right now until things change. But I'm hopeful that the Ravens use their picks to attack the interior of the offensive line at both guard positions, and hopefully there's at least some competition for Voorhees to have to deal with to get out of camp with a mid to high round guard competition, I would say.
Yeah, man. I couldn't disagree there, Glenn. And like you said, just to round that one out, shout out to Patrick McCary. You wanna move on to
this one's gonna get a lot of people happy here, Jimbo.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Got paid, dude. Got paid.
Dude,
good for Brandon Stevens, man.
He did. What do you think about not seeing him anymore in purple and black?
Well, I think TJ Tampa better step up.
Okay.
Because as much as people are gonna trash Brandon Stevens and everything else, if TJ Tampa's out there looking absolutely horrendous next year, it's certainly, I think, a formidable loss. I don't think it's something we can just gloss over. I mean, ultimately, he was a starter.
He's a starter, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Like, we lost a starter, right? So
sure.
We might need to get a guy like DK saying in our chat. We might need to get a guy in free agency, a vet, and then we might need to take a swing or two at the draft. Now we got TJ Tampa, and we got some other. I'm missing another young guy. Is Armour Davis still around? Pepe's still around. I'm guessing. Didn't we cut Pepe?
Yeah. You can't count on Armour Davis though at all.
No, we can't.
No, I think what we have right now, we got Wiggins, obviously we can count on. Marlon we can count on. And TJ Tampa that there's a lot of hope around, but we can't count on him yet. Of course not. We can't. So I think this becomes I think this might be the number one need now in Baltimore when it comes to this draft. Another outside corner. Because if you have two outside corners with Wiggins and a potential draft pick and allow Marlon to go inside, I think that's a pretty damn good trio of corners there. And then depending on what they do at safety, I'd prefer us to go back to, 3 safeties in that scenario rather than 4 corners, because I want Kyle Hamilton to be more versatile. And I think he's the nickel or the dime, but man, I don't know, man. I think they got to attack corner in the early rounds for sure in the draft.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Based on kind of the things Jason said. So if I'm not mistaken, Jason mentioned there's no corners he graded in the first round. Doesn't mean they won't be taken in the first round. He didn't grade any first round corners.
I think that's what he said. Oh, Travis Hunter was the only one. He's not.
Oh, right. Outside of Travis Hunter, who all that depends, and there's no chance in heck that he'll be there, of course, at 27. So we're 27 this year, right? Not 29, 27.
27, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, with that being said, like you said, Glenn, rounds 2 or 3, can we find a guy that we can, has some high upside, has good measurables, and maybe is a small school guy, but has some size and some ability? We'll see what happens there, but I agree. It's definitely, we got to attack that. But I want to get to another one here, Glenn. You want to type in Malik?
Oh yeah, this was interesting.
Oh, the Steelers are funny, man. The Steelers are funny. They just
Dude,
keep going
hey,
after our linebackers,
what was it?
dude.
Crunchy peanut butter and jelly are back together, my
They're
brother.
back.
Know what you
They're
said,
back.
Jimbo?
Yes, I did. And they're back together, dude. Oh,
Yep.
man. Good luck to them. Yeah, I mean, good for Malik. I think he came in and played admirably in the season, but good luck.
Sure.
You know, you're now wearing black and yellow, so I could really care less.
Yeah, we don't like you. Sorry, Malik.
Yeah.
We don't like you.
Yeah, we'll make sure to get him in a one-on-one scenario with Justice Hill and see how he does.
There we go. I like that. Yeah, well, he ain't running. I don't think he's going to be in there on third down. I think we're going to get hit. They're going to get his ass off the field for sure on third down. But yeah, hey, he's a good player. He's a player where if you need a starter at middle linebacker, he'll play. He'll get you double-digit tackles. You don't want him to be your starter all year, but he's a hell of a third linebacker. He'll get it done on special teams. He can even set the edge as an outside linebacker, on first and second down if you need him to. So very versatile, good player while he was here, but now we can't stand you. Sorry.
No.
That's kind of where we're at now that you're a Raven.
Yeah, and there's probably a few left that maybe we can just highlight, right? Like we don't have to talk about him. Oh, you already on it. Chris Board, yeah. I mean, I think this is and DK's raising his hands. I think this is a low-key loss. Because do we have confidence in Trenton Simpson? Do we have confidence that we'll bring a guy in? You know what I mean? So there's a clear hole there. We saw how much better Roquan had some, and they solidified that guy next to him. So that will be interesting. But I think that that was the one area I was hoping Jason would talk about more. Is there value in the mid to late rounds at that inside linebacker spot? Can we just find a guy that he feels comfortable in, that he feels comfortable with, he being Roquan, and is just a tackling machine, right? Like, can we, the guy might have some limitations, but that plays well with Rowe. Can we find that guy in the draft?
That's a good point, because we can't lie and say the defense didn't look better when we saw Chris Board getting a lot more snaps and Malik Harrison getting a lot more snaps and Trenton Simpson losing snaps, and the defense got better. So while we think that, certainly Simpson has some runway ahead of him and could potentially turn into the linebacker we thought he was going to be last year, he's not there yet. And to no Muck U's point, any chance we draft a linebacker plus move Simpson into nickel, he's not that athletic to be a nickel. But I think he's still got a chance to become a hell of a linebacker. I think we saw flashes. He certainly has the athleticism. The game just has to slow down for him. He's got to start seeing a little bit, seeing a little bit faster. I think he's a little slow right now as far as when he dissecting the play and knowing where to start going. Because we know once he knows where he's going, he can get there pretty quick. It's just, does he dissect the play and get there, get that decision-making process going quick enough? I still think there's a chance, but absolutely they have to draft an inside linebacker, even if it's at the end of the draft. Like you said, just a guy who can just come in, stuff the run, help Roquan on those early downs. Because look, in third down, the guy's off the field anyway, and Roquan's in there along with our safeties and however many corners we play. But I think at the end of the draft, or even potentially an undrafted guy, you got to bring in some linebackers. I think more than one.
I agree with you there, and I think that'll be another low-key valuable place in the draft where we'll find some value. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited and intrigued to dig into that as we move closer to the draft.
But let's also get into some of the I mean, look, we got to talk about it, right?
What, DK Metcalf?
We got to talk about it. I mean, DK Metcalf goes to the Steelers, signing a 4-year, $132 million.
I thought it was $550.
Well, I think it's an extension, so it doesn't have still some time left.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that might be the total value. But he goes to Pittsburgh. He's now opposite George Pickens. That's a heck of a 1-2 punch. Those are two receivers that also are a bit hot-headish. I think DK doesn't quite have the immaturity issues that George Pickens has, but certainly will lose his temper and take it out on a corner. There's been plenty of incidents there. But what's your thoughts when you saw DK Metcalf, which is probably also why I mentioned, I think a cornerback is so important now when you see this. But what were your initial thoughts when you saw DK going to Pittsburgh?
My thoughts were, see, Glenn, I don't want to lose any credibility for you and attach him to, what I'm saying. This is just me, my opinions. I think people are going to be booing. I think people are going to say overrated. Like, I think he's a bit overrated. I do. I think that based on everyone talks about size, speed, combination, all this stuff, then he should be Megatron. And he's not Megatron. He's not, like, his size and speed combination is so good. He's a good football player. He's one of the best in the league. That is undeniable. I think he could be more. And I don't think going to Pittsburgh more. I do think this makes them more formidable as a threat. Like, that's undeniable. I just think this money is wild. To me, I don't know. I think the money's... Well, I'd like to know what it breaks down as, but he's certainly not Justin Jefferson. He's not Jamar Chase to me. Like, he's not those guys. I'm kind of blanking on some other guys here, to be honest with you. I'm a little under the weather, but I just don't see it, man. And to your point, who's throwing him the football? That was my second question. So is he unable to escape Russell Wilson? Is
right.
he,
that's the best option. Yeah.
Right. Is that right?
So Aaron Rodgers is apparently who it's down to.
Does Aaron want to play football?
Or
does he want to talk politics? You know what I'm saying?
I hope to goodness he goes to Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin has to deal with all that. I hope he has to deal with Aaron Rodgers, the drama that comes there. Pickens, we know he's been dealing with that since day one. And now DK, not to the degree of those other guys, but I think definitely has some issues where he loses his temper and he's a bit of a hothead. But to your point, Jimbo, although I am a DK guy, I think that you can certainly be held back by your quarterback. And I think what we've seen from Russell Wilson is that maybe he was never that great of a quarterback. And that he was maybe a product of those around him, and the coaching did what they could, because we were all shocked when he got let go. And then he completely fell off the cliff. And now we look at him as a bit of a joke. So it's like, now he's not escaping that issue at quarterback. He's going from one team with issues at quarterback. Like, Geno to me is a good rebound story, but he's not a great quarterback, and by no means is he a great quarterback. So I don't think he's ever had an elite starting quarterback. So I think that's held him back a little bit. But to your point, Jimbo, he was the 35th rated receiver in football last year, and the Ravens got DeAndre Hopkins for $6 million in 1 year, and he was the 26th rated receiver, 9 spots higher. So that kind of bolsters your point a bit, but
dude,
yeah.
If he's that guy, think about Hopkins' years. Think about the quarterbacks he went through, right? Like, think about the quarterback Steve Smith went through. Remember like his days in Carolina. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of receivers. Megatron.
Yeah,
right. I mean, I know he had Stafford for a while. Quarterbacks that who's the dude? Oh gosh, he punched some dude. He's in the Hall of Fame. Super deep voice. Played for the Houston Texans. Andre Johnson.
Yeah.
Dude, in my opinion, one of the best wide receivers of all time. Just my opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
But dude was an absolute dog. But if you look, you can only blame your quarterback so much, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can blame your quarterback, but you can't blame him for everything. So, I definitely
Jefferson's been dealing with it. Yeah, he does just.
Yeah, I definitely think that our DK is, and we have we get much more value back on our contract than
that's for sure.
And the Steelers will get back on their contract from DK Metcalf. But it does concern me having to deal with Pickens and Metcalf. Yep. What does this do to unlock Pickens, dude?
Well, I think it puts here's the thing. Like, people are saying, well, from a fantasy perspective, does it hurt both of them? I say, heck no. When you have those two guys on the same team, it just makes it so difficult for defenses to decide who they want to double team, at what point do they want to do it. But the big thing that obviously has to be figured out is their quarterback position. If they're banking on going into this year with a rookie at quarterback, thinking they can compete this year, I think they're sadly mistaken. If they're going into it thinking that Aaron Rodgers is the guy that they can squeeze one more year of football out of him at a Pro Bowl level, I think they're mistaken. He has zero mobility. He's a distraction in the locker room. I don't see the Steelers putting up with him being a weekly participant on the Pat McAfee show, airing his dirty laundry if he's upset about something. I don't think that's the answer, and we know Russell Wilson isn't the answer. There's no chance at Justin Fields. He went to the Jets, so he's out of the picture. So until they get a quarterback, I don't think this matters a ton, but I still would have liked to see him go somewhere else other than freaking Pittsburgh, Jimbo.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you're right about that. That's undeniable. I can't sit here and say the dude isn't a good football player, but it just didn't make me incredibly nervous. So yeah, it's gonna be who do you think?
Here's who else they got, Jimbo. Does this? Where is he?
Who are you looking for?
Darius Slay, right? I mean, Big Play Slay. They got the cornerback
Or the corner, yeah, from
I guess it's not on this
Eagles.
list. Yeah, I guess it's not on this list, but they also did get Slay. So, I mean, they're definitely getting talent on the outside, both on both sides of the ball.
Glenn, you know as well as I do, it all starts and ends center.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Who do you think that their preference is?
Aaron Rodgers, because of the unknown. Like they know what Russell is. They know they ain't getting it done with Russ. I think they could still fall in love with the name Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. I guess. And do you think Aaron Rodgers has anything left in the tank?
No, I don't. I think he's done. But by the way, guys, if you didn't see it, Najee Harris is no longer with them. I saw somebody saying Najee now too, but no, Najee signed a 1-year deal, $5 million with the Chargers, so he's not there. But yeah, I'm not that. I mean, look, I'm worried about it until I'm only worried about it once I see the Steelers get something at quarterback. Until then, whatever.
Yeah,
sell some tickets. He'll have jerseys. There'll be a bunch of Metcalf jerseys, but
for sure, and they'll still be wishing that they had number 8 under center.
Yeah. Oh, they would trade all of their players for number 8. So, yeah.
Didn't they? Let's see. I don't even. Oh, my gosh. DK, really? DK, come on. Go ahead. Get him. DK's like, they're going to get Shador. Take him.
You know
Look,
what?
according to Jason, it don't matter. He's not even a first-round graded guy.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Does that matter? Like, when's the last time I guess when they took Pickett was the last time we saw, like, a quarterback class kind of like this, where there's an opportunity where we could see not many taken in the first round and a bunch of guys slip. And so it kind of reminds me of the Pickett draft. He says,
Let's go,
dude,
baby.
I saw some horrible, dude. Some of these tweets, dude, I like get sucked in because they seem legit for a second, and then they just end with this ridiculous last sentence. Like, they were talking about Kenny Pickett. I don't know if you saw, he went to the Browns.
Yeah, he went to the Browns, baby. He's going to resurrect his career. The whole Brownies.
Well, they were like, Deshaun Watson integral in luring or in convincing Kenny Pickett to sign here after finding out his small hands would feel nice if he would. Like, it immediately turned to, like, him massaging him with smaller hands. I'm like, I thought it was going to go like he was, like, legitimately helping try and recruit, and then it was like some craziness at the end. But Kenny Pickett's a Brown, and it looks like he's their starter this year, which is kind of crazy. But I did want to talk about, because I think this was a hell of a move, man.
Yeah.
The Washington Commanders traded for left tackle Laramie Tunsil from the Houston Texans, and they did so with a pretty big haul of picks. But as much as we're Ronnie guys, and they'll always be compared, Ronnie Stanley and Laramie Tunsil, since they were drafted the same year, and there was issues with the smoking, the gas mask bong hits that he was taking, which led some to say that the Ravens preferred Tunsil, but they went with Stanley, the safer pick. Well, both have turned out to be fantastic players. Laramie Tunsil is always rated as one of the top tackles in the league. He's pretty reliable when it comes to a health standpoint, and look, the Commanders needed him. They needed him because there's some pass rushers that they have to deal with over there that they could give Jaden Daniels some issues. So they go get a left tackle. They seal up the left side. I thought that was a hell of a move. It's amazing to me, Jimbo, how a team can live and just be horrible for decades because of an owner. And in one freaking season, they change, and they're all of a sudden completely relevant, making great decision after great decision. And they're going to be competing for championships probably for the next decade.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
yeah. I mean, and then it compounds, right? Because you get new ownership, then you get a solid quarterback. I mean, a spectacular quarterback. Yeah, and veteran coach. It just everything seemed to come together in the pot there. So they're definitely in win now mode, man, and they're an exciting team to watch. It's nice to kind of watch them casually in the NFC, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad we don't have to play them twice because I mean they're just going to keep getting better. All their players that are great are for the most part young guys. So,
but Glenn, one of the things I was going to ask you, can you on this top, can you change it to team? I want to talk about the AFC North real quick specifically. Can you just at the top there should be a drop down that says team,
let me see.
and if you can pick all the AFC North teams, that would be cool. If you can only pick one team. If you only pick one team, let's just go one by one real quick. I think that might be useful, right? Because those are the teams there we go. So, I mean, you talked about, let's see. So BJ Hill's a big deal for them. You talked about Mike Gesicki. Now T. Higgins has been offered his tag. He hasn't signed it yet, right?
Right, but that is the expectation that he'll be there one more year. Even though
they're just going to give him $26 million.
Yeah, he is.
How do they afford that? Anyway, that's a whole discussion for another day. But I don't know how they afford that. And then they got to pay Chase this year, right?
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying, what the heck are they waiting for? It's only getting more expensive. That's what these teams got to understand. It's only going up. We saw that here in Baltimore. It only goes up.
But I will say,
down.
No, I will say one thing though, Glenn. The Kappa being released, I think, is a big deal.
Yeah.
Because Joe Burrow's consistently had problems with the offensive line. Speaking of quarterback at the AFC North, you saw the extension for Josh Allen.
Oh, yes, we did. Yeah, monster. I mean,
Lamar Jackson. Yeah, the GM's on Pat's show like, "Why not an MVP season, dude? Come on!" Oh goodness, well, he wasn't the All Pro, dude. Lamar's sitting back, just.
Oh yeah, he's and it makes you wonder if the Ravens should get ahead of it and maybe even get an extension done well in advance, because it, like we just said, it's only going to continue to go up. That market's not going to ever go in the other direction. That's for sure. But as you can see here, Cleveland, despite the headache and drama, the attempts to get himself traded out of Cleveland, no, they just decided they're going to sign him to an absolutely insane 4-year, $160 million extension, the biggest contract of any non-quarterback in NFL history. He's their franchise. He's their guy. It's a real shame that him, just like Joe Thomas,
never see him anywhere else.
You'll never see him anywhere else, and you'll never see him play any meaningful football. It's a real shame for Myles Garrett, his career. Unfortunately for Cleveland fans, they're still the Cleveland Browns. They're not the Washington Commanders who've turned things around. They are still the Browns, and they'll continue to be until they figure things out in the front office.
Until the Haslams move on.
Yep, and get rid of them because they are absolutely terrible. But good for Garrett. He got paid. He got generational wealth, and his grandkids will likely still be earning money off of that contract. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, now you want to let's scroll down here real quick. Are there any other? Okay, that's
here. And
all right. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the. I mean, we kind of outlined the Steelers, but in case we missed anyone,
Steelers. Where are they? I might not. Okay, here we go. Pittsburgh. Here we go. All right. So we saw Malik Harrison. We talked about JK. What is this? Hold on.
They have it 2 times. I don't understand why.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that was throwing me off. They signed, they got a tender on Jalen Warren. Doesn't look like he's going anywhere. They released Larry Ogunjobi.
Wait a second, really quickly. Are you telling me that next year Jalen Warren's going to make more money than first-round draft pick Najee Harris?
By a couple dollars. Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
Man, life comes at you fast. Sorry, Najee. You're probably a nice guy. I just think you're overrated.
Now, why does it not show anything on here about Slay? Is it because it was a trade?
What about the windows you have, the date windows that you have? When did it happen?
Well, it's definitely happened in the last month. That's interesting. DK, did anything happen with that deal? Did it fall through or something? Why is it not? They literally have every other deal except for Slay. And so it's like, I wonder if something fell through. But yeah, I mean, nothing else on their end. Let me see.
It says here, Glenn, as of today, The situation regarding Darius Slay and the Pittsburgh Steelers remains uncertain, with conflicting reports from sources like Fox and others suggested that the Steelers had agreed to terms with the veteran cornerback who's expected to be released by the Eagles. However, Mike Florio and NFL Network's Tom Pelissero have countered that no deal is finalized yet. Florio noted that Slay is still under contract with the Eagles, who has given him permission to talk to other teams, and the Eagles might be exploring trade options rather than releasing him outright. So,
okay, so he's not there. Okay.
So he could still be a Raven.
He could still be a Raven. That's right. I wouldn't mind. I would not mind that, actually, if they could find a way to make the money work. Be a nice addition. But just want to check in on the Bills, since they are, obviously direct competition for the Ravens. And I found it interesting. They signed Josh Palmer to a deal. I know there was a lot of fans that were hoping to be a splashier player, a more bigger name. But Josh Palmer gets 3 years, $36 million. And I can't help but point it out, Jimbo. 3 years, $36 million compared to 1 year, $6 million. Josh Palmer last year, PFF rated 66th best receiver in football. 3 years, $36 million. They finally got the number one, Jimbo.
I love it. Now wait, who did they trade for last year? Oh gosh, the Alabama kid that was in Cleveland. What's his name?
Judy? No. Amari
Cooper. Yeah. Oh man, wow. This is. Hey man, they want to keep doing their thing with Josh Allen. Go ahead.
I mean, look, Josh Palmer is a tall, fast guy, but you got to be more than tall and fast.
Is he one of those guys that gets in a job interview and they're like, describe your best attribute, tall, and they're like, any other attributes, and he's like, tall.
He's tall and he can run, and he can absolutely run. But yeah, I mean, I think that's an overpay in my opinion. But hey, they know more than me, so maybe they'll prove me to be wrong. But let's see what else we have as far as direct competitors here, real quick. What are the Chiefs up to, since they're always going to be a team that we have to deal with here? I know for one thing they did, they franchise tagged Trey Smith, their guard, but then they traded their all-pro guard, which is not on here. Why is that not on here? Joe Thuney, they traded to the Chicago Bears and got rid of and basically banked on Trey Smith. They went with Trey over Thuney, even though Thuney's been the all-pro pretty much ever since he's gotten there. He's been fantastic. But I guess they wanted to go a little bit with the younger crew and move on.
And I heard, I'm sure you heard it, that they were trying to create some cap space for one run.
Say that again? You broke up a little bit.
Trying to create some cap space for one Ronnie Stanley as well, right? Like they're trying to.
Oh, that's right. There were the reports that the Chiefs and the Patriots were going to be targeting him. Well, too bad, so sad. He's staying in Baltimore.
That's right. Best of luck to you guys. Yeah, let's see. Von Miller, 1 year deal to the Ravens on cheap. Didn't he just renegotiate with the Bills to clear up some cap space for the Bills? I think he's staying there.
Let me see here. Bills. Von Miller released by Buffalo. That's how he. Yeah, they created a lot of space. Yeah, they created.
Oh dang! I thought that they restructured. Hey, go get him is what I gotta say,
dude. Let me see what Von Miller did last year.
1 year on the cheap. Depends on what he's willing to take at the end of the day.
A bag of balls. Will you take that? Will he give you a bag of fresh footballs, Von Miller? And until then, if that's not enough, sorry. But what did he do last year? Oh, actually, okay, maybe I'm being a little disrespectful. All right. He didn't. I don't think.
And didn't he have a sack against Lamar in that game?
He might have. I might have. I'm gonna look up his stats.
Dude, 13 games played, 13 solo tackles, 6 sacks, 7 tackles for loss.
All right. Well, he did more than I thought. I'll give him credit. 6 sacks. Okay, at that age. But no, I don't want him here in Baltimore. I think.
And one notable in the playoffs with a 39-yard return against the Ravens.
Okay, well then I definitely don't want him here. I don't want anything to do with that guy. But yeah, okay. Quickly, did want to just pull this back up.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So we did talk about. Well, we didn't talk about Keith Kirkwood being signed to a futures deal. Yeah.
Hey, happy for Keith Kirkwood. Let's go, baby. The dream lives on.
Yeah. no doubt. But look, I think so far, I think we can call this a successful free agency, but certainly in line with their character and their typical game plan, right? They want to keep homegrown talent here and they want to get bargains from elsewhere.
And that's the thing, Glenn. This is in line with their character. And I think one of the most thus far successful free agency periods we've had, in that the position and the impact of the players that we've signed or retained. Look at what Ricard does for our team. Look at what Ronnie does for our team. And look what DeAndre Hopkins could potentially do for this team.
Mm-hmm.
All those are huge deals and put us in a situation to where maybe we don't need to reach on a wide receiver. Maybe we take a wide receiver, that you guys were discussing that is available at the end of the draft, at the end of the first, knowing that we can give him some time to develop. He's not going to have all the pressure on the world on him, whatever, but we can allow the board to fall to us. I think that's exactly what the Ravens are doing here. It's exciting stuff, man. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah. This is the classic move where the Ravens plug all their holes now and, truly allow the best player to fall in their lap. And that, look, I talked about it with Jason. I'd rather the Ravens, edge is huge position of need, no doubt. But they're going to go off the board like crazy in the top 20. So on the Ravens pick, they could either have the 8th best edge or, 6th best edge, or they could have potentially the best guard in the draft. They could have potentially the best safety in the draft. Or second best safety in the draft to pair along with the 2 we already have in Baltimore. Use that, plug the hole, use free agency to plug all your holes and make sure when you come to the draft, if Kyle Hamilton falls to you, if a Tyler Linderbaum is going to fall to you, I don't care what the hell the position looks like. You take the best player in that, at that position, unless he's a quarterback, of course, then sorry. But yeah, I think the Ravens' game plan is going perfectly right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they have some other smaller moves. I don't think anything splashy is going to happen. But let's see here about this question here, because I think this is an interesting one that Blair Davis brings up here. Says, any update on Mark Andrews and Deontay Johnson? Well, Deontay,
let me look this up. I just looked this up. He's still a free agent. I think his playing days might be over, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not going to be a huge market for him, so I don't think the Ravens are in line to get any huge comp picks back. But Mark Andrews is interesting because when I see DeAndre Hopkins coming here, this does not make me go, okay, we can let Mark go. This makes me go, I want to keep Mark now. Yeah. I want as many freaking weapons available for the Ravens as possible. What's your thoughts on Mark? Where do you
actually, I'm glad that this is brought up because I forgot to mention this. When I saw the Ronnie deal, immediately my mind went to, what does this mean for Mark?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have all the cap figures in front of me, but certainly this will have some sort of an impact. 1, on the cap, 2, on where we pull those levers, whether that's an extension, a release, or otherwise. So I think we will see some news. I think at this point I might be surprised if they hold tight with this contract, unless they can figure out a way to make it work, right? I'm not a cap gymnastics expert, but this is definitely going to be interesting. I think that chances are, whether it's an extension, I don't know, restructure, or I don't see a trade. I don't know. I think Mark ends up being here, but something's got to happen. Yeah, is the way I see it.
And I think they got to make a decision sooner than later. Quick shout out real quick to Caleb Parmalee, I believe was the first one to mention it. Joey Bosa just signed with the Bills.
Oh, did he? I was wondering where he would go.
Yeah, because I heard that the Niners were kicking around the idea of having the Bosa brothers in 49er land, but surprise, the Niners have been absolutely gutted of talent on their team. Yeah. Their offensive line is getting taken. Travarius Ward went to the Colts. Hufanga, their talented young safety, went to, I believe, the Raiders. They are losing everyone, and I think the reason is because they're going to give a whole bunch of money to Brock Purdy, and I think that is hilarious. I love every second of it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. When great they just think of how good of their roster was, heading into the year last year, and flash forward to now, Debo's gone. Their interior, their offensive line is gone. Their best cornerback's gone. Their safety's gone. They're talking about getting rid of Ayuk. He's probably, on his last days. It's just a complete and total turnover in one season. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, I think the Bills getting Joey Bosa. hey, when he's healthy, he's a good player. He's just never healthy. But when he is, he can hoop. But he's just always banged up.
Yeah, always banged up. I don't know if anyway, I don't. We'll see what San Francisco does. That'll be interesting to see and watch. Certainly, I know that there's a rooting interest sometimes in watching your friends' teams suffer.
Yes.
You know, you kind of go back and forth, right? Like you want them to do well, but every once in a while you're like,
oh yeah, Greenlaw left too. Thank you, Tanja. Yeah, Dre Greenlaw left. I think he went to like Jacksonville or something. Like their whole team is gone. It's insane.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely wild. But I think the Ravens, like you said, Glenn, off to a great start, off to an impactful start. I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited to see how this plays in their hands for the draft. And looking forward to digging into it more. But I think that's it for us tonight, folks. Oh, DK's got more news. Sorry, DK. I apologize. Tweet equal comp picks, 11 picks. What?
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, they did release it. I think the Ravens again led the way with 4 more comp picks, which I think was tied with the Dolphins and the Cowboys is the most in the league, which is typical. The Cowboys, I think, are second. It's either like the Cowboys or the Packers are like second all time behind us at number 1. But as you can see, there are 11 total picks, Jimbo. Do you see when you see 11 picks, do you see them staying and just picking all 11, or do you think they'll get aggressive at any point in the draft and trade up?
But yeah, I think they play around. Yeah, I can see them trading up for sure. I think the Ravens are in win now mode. I think they know where they're at, and they have an opportunity to get aggressive. So let's do it. Yeah, I think they trade up. I'm going to call it.
I agree. I think 11 picks is a lot.
I think it's got to fall the right way.
Yeah.
But if it does and they see a guy slipping, I think they trade up.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But look, we got a long time to go before the draft. Yep. We will talk all about it in the coming weeks. I believe we'll be back here in just a couple days continuing to talk about the Ravens, covering free agency, and getting you guys set up for the draft. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. I think that's it for us, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey!